Singa actually means connect in Lingala, which is a language spoken in the Congo. And the Congo happens to be a country that is the origin of many refugees living in France. And because Singa was founded in France 4 years ago, Congolese people were one of the first groups that Singa actually was working with, and therefore the inspiration for the name. I was looking for an inclusive approach to not only building community, because it's something that I was already working on in Heidelberg, actually a smaller group, Meet and Greet Heidelberg, you can even find it still on Facebook. I wanted to find a way to connect community building where refugees and locals and students can all come together over social cultural events, and connect that with something larger and something more innovative when it comes to entrepreneurship and giving opportunities, for example, for refugees to start their own business. And I had a lot of ideas, and when I met one of the co-founders at an Ashoka conference in Berlin, one of the co-founders from Singa, France, it became clear right away that this is what I needed. It's kind of like a package. It's a solution that really allows you to make social and professional connections, which in the end of the day I think is the best way to promote integration on the ground. There are several barriers when it comes to trying to promote integration and inclusion. I think in Germany in particular, there's a very interesting discourse happening right now, which is refugee-led, and it's a criticism not to use the word refugee. And so there are many articles now and interviews that have been done with refugees saying, don't call me a refugee, I'm just a person. And guess what? I happen to be an engineer, or I'm a photographer, or I am an artist, you know, and they want to be taken as people like anyone else. And with all the hype now around the refugee crisis, as it's often labeled, I actually prefer not to look at it only in this way, because I feel like that puts only a negative light on an issue that actually has a lot of potential. So in this, wording and vocabulary is often a challenge in order to really make sure that our work is really inclusive and reflecting the interests of the community. So I think, yeah, labeling is one issue that we deal with. Let me think if there's something else that I would mention. I think another issue is that often integration is still, in particular in Europe and in Germany, something that is seen as being very one-way. So, you know, you have services offered by the government, learn German, become as German as possible, and okay, you know, you'll find a job hopefully, and that's it. And kind of putting all of the onus on the newcomer and, let's say, the refugee or whoever, the immigrant, to kind of adapt into the German society. And this is not something that I mean, Singa, but also other activists that I've spoken to, we don't feel that this is a sustainable approach, and we don't feel that this is an approach that is going to maximize the creativity and the inspiration and passion that a lot of these people are bringing, and the perspectives often that newcomers bring, and see that actually the way we're doing things in society is not always the best way, and there might be other ways to do it, but we're so used to seeing it and doing it that way that we become blind, you know. So I feel like turning the tables and considering how we can conduct integration with refugees and not for refugees is also a challenge that we're trying to tackle. So the interesting thing about this conference and my role in this conference is that I'm actually from Toronto, but now presenting a project and an organization that I founded in Germany. And actually, all of the people that I work with in Germany constantly hear me making reference to how we do things in Toronto and how actually there's another way of looking at things. And I think one of the most interesting things that I heard was someone saying, yeah, but in Toronto, no one's going to know if you're a refugee or not when you walk down the street, because you could just be another immigrant like anyone else, or another Canadian like anyone else. And I think that that's one of the things that I really want to promote in Germany, is this notion of becoming a new German. And we often talk about new Canadians, and it seems so clear to us in Canada that, oh, okay, you've arrived here and you're making Canada your home, so you're Canadian. It's not only about the citizenship, it's not only about the passport, it's about a feeling, both on the side of the newcomer, but also on the side of the rest of society, seeing these people as new Canadians. And there's a great initiative that has already started in Germany, not by me. It's called the Neue Deutsche Organisationen, New German Organizations, and it's being led by also the Neue Deutsche Medienmacher, and they're among other things, a network of journalists and people that work in media and that try to shed light on the importance of using the proper vocabulary and terms when, in media and the news. And I think this is really important that we continue to have this conversation of how can we kind of make the German identity more flexible, more open, something that's a process, something that's constantly changing. We have a lot of people a lot of different diaspora groups that already moved to Germany 50 years ago, and they are still struggling with being recognized as equal members of society, as fellow Germans. Everyone is still asking this question that we have also in Toronto, by the way. Know, where are you really from, And this is something that I feel, hopefully, this new wave of people coming to Germany and to many places across Europe will allow us to reconsider how we can have this conversation and how we can kind of open up identity.